What's good, folks? It's your boy Dookie back again with B.A.N.G. Budget and new gear reviews to help you get the best bang for your tech dollars. Man, I've been waiting to show this to y'all for a while. If you peeped the last video I did before I headed out of town for a little, with a little mini vacation with the fam, I said I was putting together a computer that was less of a new build, but more of a transition upgrade PC. And as you can see, it's done. And shout out to Randy Watson for the assist.
That boy is good.
Now, if you missed the previous video, I'm gonna put a link to it here. But basically what I wanted to do was take that Ryzen PC that I built. I used it a little bit for streaming, a little bit of gaming, but it really sat there not being utilized whatsoever. Eventually, the Vanglorious C. Hova was using it, but she's not putting any type of real workload on that machine. So it was just a 6-core, 12-thread machine sitting there basically getting unutilized. Now, what I did was take 3 main parts of this computer, transition them into this new build, and do some upgrades along that to kind of give you guys an idea of what you could be looking for if you were looking to put together a system right about now. Now, the 3 main parts that I repurposed were the CPU, the motherboard, and the GPU. The CPU is the Ryzen 5 1600. Now, I know with the update and the release of Ryzen 2nd Gen that most people will be jumping to that. But what I wanted to show to you is that you can still get a lot of great functionality out of a CPU like this. Right now, it's an incredible bang for your buck. Being able to pick this chip up used, if you want to go used, I've seen it go as low as 100, but you could pick some up on the used market, use around 120 to 130. 6 cores, 12 threads, and it's overclockable. You got to get up on that. Plain and simple. Now, as far as the motherboard, I'm rocking the AB350 Gaming, not the Gaming 3, the 5, or anything like that, just the AB350 Gaming. One of the things that's got me like good guy AMD is the fact that, let's say I was looking to upgrade to 2nd Gen Ryzen, maybe get a Ryzen 2700. All I would have to do is upgrade the BIOS on this motherboard right here, slot it right in, and I will be good to go. Also, shout out to AMD, man, dropping that Threadripper 2 on them with some crazy chips, wild prices. You already know what your boy's gonna do. When those chips start to drop and everybody freaks out and goes to buy those and they sell their 1st generation Ryzen chips off, I'm in there. But back to the main components, I also use my Gigabyte RX 580, this is the 8 gig variant. We all know where GPU prices were, but they are falling rapidly, and to be able to go out and get a card as close to MSRP as you can and actually see them on the shelves, Amazon or wherever you need to go, man, it's a blessing. So the RX 580 kind of fits, kind of slots in right under the 1060 in most tests that I've seen. But for like 1080p gaming, light productivity, this card is great. So I already had one, so I tossed it back in this machine, and I figured let's go ahead and put it to work. Now here's where I did all the upgrades and new stuff to this build. I took all the old parts, threw in something new, and I had to style up on them just a little bit. Now, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors who helped me put this video together. Now we're gonna start it off with the case and most of the RGB lighting you see in there. Shout out to Rosewell. They sent over their Rosewell Culinary PX case, which is a smaller version of the Rosewell Culinary case that I used on the previous version of this build. It's a smaller, more compact case built for the micro ITX range, but it also does fit many ITX and ATX motherboards like I have in here right now. Now, generally this comes with its own LED fans. The ones I had in here were red, but I swapped them out for Rosewell's own 120mm RGB fans. You can buy them individually or buy them with the 2-pack. The 2-pack comes with the hub that you need. The hub has access up to 8 fans, so if you really wanted to go crazy and put fans all over this thing, you'd be good to go in one easy step. Now next, I want to give a big shout out to my homies over at Arctic. They previously sent out their liquid cooler, which I already took a look at here. But what I did is repurpose it for this build, and sorry, but I had to slide in those cool RGB fans from Rosewell. But one of the most important things that I had to use was their Arctic MX thermal paste. It's just good to go. So if you're planning on doing a build, repairing the build, or anything like that, I would suggest you order up a couple of tubes of this and just keep it on stock. spot, keep it handy. Now last, but most definitely not least, another big shout out to the homies over at GAMDS. GAMDS? I'm gonna just say GAMDS because that's how it's spelled. So they sent over their 650 watt RGB power supply. And you might be asking to yourself, why do you need RGB on a power supply? And if you do, slap yourself, it's RGB everything over here, man. What you talking about? Why? It's necessary. We need it. But shout out to them. It's a 650 watt 80 plus power supply. It's got a super silent fan mode that you can switch to, and you can control all the RGB lighting effects from the back. Now there were some more upgrades that I did to get this machine the way I needed it to be. Now first and foremost, what I did was take the 8 gigabytes of RAM that I had in my previous machine and chuck that to the side. We all know how expensive RAM is, and honestly, only having 8 gigabytes in that machine was the main reason I didn't use it. If you want to get into productivity, if you want to get into streaming, if you want to get into doing anything more than just light gaming and web surfing, you're going to eventually need more than 8 gigabytes of RAM. But having 16 gigabytes to start in this machine will get me on the road to using it more. I'll eventually throw in another kit of this Team Force RGB RAM that is pretty beautiful. It's rated at a speed 3000 megahertz, which is great for Ryzen. I'm going to try to overclock that, get that up as well. Those Ryzen chips we do know need fast RAM. As far as hard drives go, I simply took the 4 terabyte WD Green that I had in the previous machine that had all like my data and my games and everything like that, and upgraded from the 240 gigabyte SSD to a 480 SSD. Now one of the upgrades I was highly interested in checking out is these cable sleeves that I actually saw Kyle of Bitwit checking out. Now we all know like Cable Mod, or you can get a bunch of custom cable sleeves from a lot of places, but they cost a little bit of coin. For the price that I got these on Amazon, the variety of colors they have, and the actual quality, I was so surprised at how good the quality was. They come with the cable combs to bunch them together, make it look more professional. Yo, these are pretty nice. I'm throwing them in whatever system I have going forward, plain and simple. I'm gonna have a link to everything I can down below, so make sure you check them out down there. But enough talking, let's go ahead and jump into that sexy B-roll. All right, folks, I'm gonna get up out of here, but I want you to let me know down in the comments what you feel about this system. Are you down with RGB, or do you hate it? Is it yucky? Is it trashy? One of the great things I've already noticed that if I start to play with the lights, even though they all come with their own way of controlling them, but interestingly enough, they look great together. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about all the individual builds. Also, I'll be doing a testing and benchmarks. You know, all of that is gonna be coming. Let me know what games you want me to play, what programs you would like me to show off, or anything like that. It's your kid, Dookie. I'm gonna get up out of here. Always remember to like, share, subscribe, and never, ever, ever forget to holler at your boy.